Let's talk about the Milwaukee Bucks, a team that looks a little bit different. There's a lot of questions heading into the season. One of those major questions is how much is Doc Rivers going to play the young guys? Michael Bolton, contain yourself.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and I am here to talk to you about sex, politics, and religion. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and thank you for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free. We are available on all platforms. Yes, we are. Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl update. All of the original leagues are full. So, if you go to linktree/LOFB Bowl now, you will find a new head-to-head category league open. We already have 600 teams in the head-to-head category leagues at the moment, plus 240 points league teams, plus 120 best ball, plus 120 draft and stash, plus another 120 roto. But I've opened up another 120 head-to-head category leagues, and we probably will do another 120 points league. That's not available just yet. And then auction drafts are coming this week. I just don't know. I can't tell you the date because I don't want to promise it, but it will be up. Linktree/LOFB Bowl, QR on the screen, code, and link actually in the description. Link in bio, some may say. Check that out for my spicy bowls. You can go and check that out, but there is a new head-to-head category league up. All of the slow drafts are either starting or have started and coming up really soon. So, we're talking Milwaukee Bucks. We're looking at this team from a fantasy point of view heading into the season. So let's take a look at that. And usually it's pretty easy to sort of pencil in or even write in pen, Sharpie, so to speak, what the lineup would look like. Not so much this season. Now, there are some players that I know are going to start. And that's the two frontcourt guys, Giannis Antetokounmpo and Myles Turner. They're going to start. There's no question about that. And then I don't know. I honestly don't know. I think that we're going to get a couple of juniors in the backcourt. I think it's going to be Kevin Porter Jr. and Gary Trent Jr. I feel much more confident about saying Trent is going to start. But I don't know. Remember, Darvin Ham is still in Doc Rivers' back pocket, so just keep that in mind in a second. I've got AJ Green, Big Boom AJ, as the starting three. I have no confidence in that at all. None. The only reason I'm even putting AJ Green there is that I heard T.I. Winsich, one of the Bucks reporters, talking about how in his discussions with Bucks management that they had been exclusively talking about Kuzma as a 4. And if Kuzma's a 4, well, that means he's backing up Giannis. Unless the hidden part of that is they're playing Giannis at point guard, Kuzma at the 4, and you don't have Porter or Rollins or Anthony starting. And you've got Trent, Green, Giannis, Kuzma, Turner. Maybe. But I don't know. There's going to be a lot of mess. The rotation, I think the other guys will be Ryan Rollins, who could easily start over Kevin Porter. Kyle Kuzma, who could easily start. Bobby Portis, who I don't think has any shot of starting. Taurean Prince, that's the Darvin Ham connection. What if Taurean Prince slides in there instead of AJ Green and offers us nothing? It's possible. Cole Anthony, I like Cole Anthony a lot as a player. I think he's very much an outside shot to start. I wouldn't be banking on that. And the other one is Jericho Sims, who last season, when he came across from the Knicks, Doc would play him a lot as the backup center. So that would limit what Bobby Portis could do. Now, Portis was suspended for performance-enhancing drugs. So we'll see exactly. He wasn't he suspended for like something insane like Toradol? But whatever. Sims might be in that rotation, but that's 11 guys. And you'll notice that none of those guys are under the age of 25 because it's Doc Rivers. So, yeah, that's exactly how I would expect that part of the rotation to go. But, yeah, be confident in Giannis, be confident in Turner, and don't be confident in any of the other guys. Porter, Trent, Green, Kuzma, Rollins, Prince. I'd say, well, I know that 3 of those 6 are going to have to start. Who they are? Well, that's a really good question, and I would love to know. In talking about, we might as well just talk a little bit about Kevin Porter right now, because to me, as much as I hate watching this guy play, I hate his game. I don't think he's a good NBA player. And I've said that all the way through. I think that he does have the most likely chance of being the starter and having the most chance of being fantasy viable. Now, he was putrid playing for the Clippers last season. But when he came to the Bucks, he was much better. And Doc seemed to like him a little bit more than Rollins, but wasn't fully committed. We know what Porter does. He'll get points, he'll get rebounds, he'll get assists. He had some pretty good steal numbers last season and actually shot the ball not too bad, but that has not been the thing for him over the course of his career. His numbers over the course of the season, you'll see only 20 minutes a game, 31 from 3, 45 from the field, 77 from the line, which usually is about indicative of what he does. His numbers in Milwaukee were very different with some elevated shooting, and I don't really trust that to the full extent of how that could look. But I do think, and we're going to talk undervalued guys in a second, I think that ability on a team that doesn't have Damian Lillard, obviously, and is really lacking self-creation, that he is the guy that can do that, because Rollins can't, Trent can't, Green doesn't do that. Prince doesn't do that. Cole Anthony does, but there's not that many guys who can do it. And that's why I think that Porter probably gets that head up or the leg up, gets ahead in the race and will be the guy that we want to look at a little bit more. So what are the major projection questions on this team? I think one of them is Kuzma starting. Because if Kuzma does not start, given his limited fantasy skill set, we don't want anything to do with him. He's a player that needs a lot of minutes and a lot of usage because he's terrible at steals and blocks and field goals and free throws. His assists have been better at times, although they were very much well down last season. Maybe he ups that this year. But if he does not start, I don't care for him. Because he'll be limited behind Giannis. He'll have to play with Bobby Portis, another usage guy in the second unit. And your upside is just not that high. If he starts and plays 34 minutes, then yeah. Now, Kuzma's a much better points league guy than category league guy. I think we know that. But that is a key thing here. And the point guard split is another thing. What does Doc do? Last season, Doc would start Ryan Rollins. Kevin Porter Jr. would come on for the final 3 minutes of the third quarter. He'd 4 shots in a row, play the entire fourth quarter, and then end up with a minute split. Then Porter would start the next game, and then Rollins would come out in the third quarter, have a hot run, and play the entire fourth quarter. In other words, Glenn didn't know what he was doing. He just kept changing his mind and alternating back and forth. If one of these point guards, Anthony, Porter, or Rollins, establishes as a starter playing 30 minutes, they are a 12-team league guy. All three of those players are 12-team league guys. But what I fear is you'll get 2 point guard lineups at times, but they'll all play 20 to 26 minutes. Porter is still the highest upside player of that group, but I don't feel good about that, at all. The next question is, on this team that doesn't look super strong, I know it's a weak East Conference. I know that. But how good are they going to be? Let's be serious. They're not as good as Cleveland. They're not as good as New York. They're not as good as Orlando. I don't think they're as good as Atlanta. Are they as good as Miami? Are they as good as a beaten up Indiana? Are they as good as Boston? I'd say Miami, debatable. But are they closer to the Toronto-Chicago grouping than being a top 4 seed? And I say all of that because if Giannis gets something small happen, calf problem, ankle, more worryingly the knee. Now, he isn't at media day because of COVID, so there's no worries there. If his knee flares up, do they ease off on it? And say, whatever. We sneak into the playoffs, we don't. We're not going to risk Giannis, and hopefully we get some value and some build-up of players for next season. Still not confident in them doing that, but there is a concern there. I had to put it in because you would just never see young guys. Chris Livingston might show something, but doesn't matter, he won't play. Tyler Smith has a very interesting skill set, but Doc won't play him. Andre Jackson Jr. is probably going to get cut off this squad. It's just never going to happen. And then the next part is can any of these shooters, AJ Green, Gary Trent, can any of them separate themselves as options that we can use? I think the one that's most likely, and I know that some of you will remember the halcyon days of Gary Trent playing in Toronto, and some of you will tell me that he was a top 50 player. Now, of course, that is blatantly incorrect, but he did play good starters minutes, had volume threes, and got a lot of steals. Last season, he played, 26 minutes with 11 points. He hit 42 from 3. He hit 2.5 threes. He was a really strong 3-point streamer. Is there anything in Gary Trent's game where we look at it and say, yeah, okay, now he's a draftable guy? No. To me, there's not. I don't get how he does it, and it's not like he has the clearest path to 33 minutes. There's another bloke named Gary on this team who might get some of them, Gary Harris, and there's AJ Green, and then there is Taurean Prince. And there is playing the 2-point guards together in Porter and Anthony, or Rollins and Porter, or whatever you want to do. So Trent will have value at times, but he's not a high usage guy. The steals come and go. He gets no rebounds or assists. He never gets to the line. He's a bad field goal guy. But if he's able to do enough, or AJ Green, and separate themselves, and maybe they hit 3 threes a game, then the value of them for that particular thing in category leagues, it does improve. It's not great, but it does improve. Today's episode is brought to you by the big fellas over at FanDuel Sportsbook. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer that you don't want to miss right now. New customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right, you pick a bet, you put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use right across the app. It makes watching sports fun. Well, that's not true. I take offense to that. It doesn't make watching sports fun. It gives you something else when you're watching sports. It gives you an opportunity to put your knowledge to the test, whether it's against your mates, whether it's just the thrill of knowing that you can get something right, whether it's parlays, same game parlays, multi-sport parlays, player props, spreads, totals. Put that knowledge out there to the test and see what you can do with it. You get those bonus $300. You can use it on so many things. So what are you waiting for? Go to FanDuel.com right now, download the FanDuel app today, and get started. And don't forget to gamble responsibly. All right, we're here talking Milwaukee Bucks heading into this upcoming season. We had a look at some of the projected lineups and the questions regarding the rotation. So let's have a look now at who some undervalued players are. And there are 2 names that stand out to me here on this team currently with the way that ranks and ADP sit, and one of them is Kevin Porter Jr., who at the moment, when we look at Fantrax and Yahoo category league numbers, he just seems way too low. I don't fully get why he's positioned where he is. Now, he's at 124 ADP on Yahoo. On Fantrax, he's at 178. Now, ESPN's category rank has him 228th, which is clearly laughable, right? But his ADP is higher than that because his points rank is laughable in the other direction at 67. His ADP sits at 97, which I think is about right. Now, again, I don't know whether Porter is going to start. They re-signed Rollins, they signed Anthony, and they re-signed Porter. So there's no, even contractual, that's a better word, indicator to say where the largest priority is. But I would still be okay, especially if you are in a situation. There are 2 ways to look at this season. There's multiple ways, but let's go binary here. There's no Halliburton. There's no Lillard. There's no DeJounte. There's no Kyrie. 3 of those guys are definitely not playing this. Well, 2 of those guys are definitely not playing. Kyrie probably isn't, and DeJounte will be back February, January, whatever it is. So that is a lot of assists that aren't on the board. And while players will step into their roles, they won't give us quite the same. And it's more likely to be, instead of 1 guy getting 10 assists, it'll be 2 guys getting 5 assists to make up that difference. Or 3 guys who were previously getting 3 assists now getting 5 each, or whatever it is, right, to make up that difference, which doesn't help that much for fantasy. So tying it all back, if you're talking about fantasy and values and what happens with point guards, is that the value of an assist, it does increase to some. It's harder to get value assist players. Now, I think some of the flip side might be at times there'll be better streaming options for assists. It also improves the ability for you to punt assists as a strategy. But if you're not punting assists and you're sitting like you're the 4th best team in assists, you go, I actually sort of am, my team, it's really important that I become solid in assists or strong in assists. Otherwise, I'm not going to win enough categories. Well, you have to go early on someone like Porter. If you're the 3rd worst team in assists, you go, don't worry about it. I'm not going early on this guy here. Not useful. But if your team structure and build is based on you having a strong assist team and you're 5th in assists, you got to go early to get them because you're just not going to be able to otherwise. So there's a separation. For some, it'll make it easier where you just don't care about jumping up to grab assists. You say, I don't care. But for the ones that do want them, you're going to have to go earlier and earlier to get point guards. And I hope that makes sense. Yahoo points, I think that there is value there in Kevin Porter as well. Again, this is all with a very low level of confidence. Very low. Because I don't know what they're going to do. But I do think that he is an undervalued guy that I'm targeting in drafts. Bobby Portis, I think, is ranked poorly on Fantrax with an ADP of 147. I'm not a big Bob Portis guy. I'm sure you're aware of that. But I do think that if we're getting him at 140, we are probably getting 30 spots of value. I think if I look at him on ESPN points, Yahoo points, sorry, and look at Portis sitting at 131 points ranking. Again, I expected that he's going to be better. I don't expect he's going to be suspended for 25 games. I think that Giannis sits a little bit more this season than he has in the past, which all of that helps, or not in the past, than he has the last couple of seasons. And all of that helps Bobby Portis. I could have included Myles Turner at times on here in terms of rank and if there's value, but I don't know how true that is because his rank on Yahoo is 74. Cool. All right, that's probably too low. His ADP is 55. Now we're talking. His rank on ESPN is 26. Like, bloody hell, that is way too early. His ADP is 84. That's way too late. So everyone is confused. To me, Myles Turner, and I know I'm just going off track here, like 45 to 50 in that area. So if you're getting him at 74, you love it. If you're taking him at 27, what are you actually doing? If his ADP is at 39 on Fantrax, it's a little high, but it's not too bad. But he's not included in this grouping here. In terms of overvalued guys, well, I don't really have anybody. I don't think anybody is universally overvalued no matter the format for this Milwaukee Bucks team. I think that we're pretty good in that respect. So let's take a look at some other stuff on this squad that is going to be useful for you guys fantasy-wise. Who are the stars? Who are the guys who can be top 50 players? Well, number one on that list, I think it's really obvious. It is Giannis Antetokounmpo. And I think you're going to get sick and tired of me through this preseason period. Maybe you won't. Maybe I won't say it as much as I think I will. Of talking about the insanity that is the rankings that are around Giannis. And when I say the rankings that are around Giannis, I don't mean like, well, he's currently at number 3 on Yahoo. That's totally reasonable. He was the second ranked player in Yahoo points last season. He was 6th in my Durant head-to-head rankings. What I'm talking about, as I think you're going to be aware, if you ever want to quote a 9-cat ranking of a player, if you ever want to quote a Yahoo 9-cat ranking of a player, then you have to tell me that you believe that Giannis is or was the 55th ranked player last season. Simple as that. So anytime you reach for a ranking that is a straight 9-cat ranking for category leagues, have it in your head. Do I think Giannis was 55th? Because if you don't, then the other numbers are wrong. Simple as that. Giannis is a top 5 player in all formats. Giannis will do more this season. I expect Giannis' usage to rise from even 34.5. It could easily hit 35.5. But most importantly, I think he can get 7.5 assists, maybe 8. I think his defensive stats, I'm not sure they're ever going to come back to what they were, and you can write off his threes, and you can write off his free throws. And while in the past I have said this, and I will say it again, it is possible to win free throws with Giannis. It is. But you don't try it. There's no need to do it. You can win it. You will win. I guarantee if you have Giannis on your team, you will win free throws a couple of weeks. It'll happen, right? It'll happen. I think sometimes the mistake people have with Giannis, well, when you have him, you're just never going to win threes. That's bullshit. Like, that is just purely untrue. It is incredibly easy to win threes when you've got Giannis. And the idea that Giannis is a hard player to build around is also garbage. You do not draft bad free throw players with Giannis. You can, but you don't have to. It is incredibly easy to win threes with Giannis. Even though he doesn't hit any. It is fine. It does not matter. The free throws, again, don't try it. You can do it. It's actually not super difficult. But don't try it. It's a waste of your time and resources. But threes, you can win them without really too much hassle. So, again, Giannis is consensus top 5 everywhere you look. Now, except in a Roto League, I wouldn't take him in top 5. I'd take him 12. 10, that mark, right? He's a top 5 player. But if we all understand that heading into drafts, then we have to be very cautious about quoting ranks of players that tell you that he's not a top 50 guy. He is the perfect illustration of this. And always remember it. Myles Turner is the other one with top 50 upside. Now, I just said that if you're getting him at 39 on Fantrax, it's maybe a little bit high. I just said that on ESPN category ranks, him sitting at 26 is a bit silly. I don't really get it. That's high. But Turner is going to play more this season. He played 29 minutes a game in Indiana. Milwaukee and Doc Rivers played Brook Lopez 32 minutes a game. So, yeah, Myles is going to play a lot. He's going to see numbers rise. It does take adjustment when you move to a new team and figuring out their systems and defense, and we've seen plenty of those problems in Milwaukee with new coaches and whatever. But that should be offset by 3-4 extra minutes a game from Turner. In that round 4, like I said, 45 to 50, if you want to get him there. If you want to get him at 40, go for it, right? It's okay. I think sometimes these players who are low in points, low rebounds, low assists, but high blocks, can get overvalued by the same algorithms that put Giannis outside the top 50. But Turner is solid in that area. Don't wait till the 70s. I mean, if he's there in the 70s or 80s, you grab him every time. But 40s and 50s, go for it. He does have the upside to be a top 50 player. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about the new arrivals on this team. There are a few of them. Today's episode, though, is brought to you by Monarch Money. Most people can't name all of their financial accounts or even what they're worth. Might be 401ks or properties or investments. And when you don't have that full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there is Monarch Money, an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or on your phone. It's built for people with busy lives, the old Monarch is. So if you put off organizing your money and your finances, Monarch is for you. It does the heavy lifting. It shows you all of your accounts in minutes, clear data visuals, smart categorization of your spending, and you can finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That is 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with the code LOCKEDONNBA. All right, we are here talking Milwaukee Bucks for their upcoming season and checking out some of the info about this team. Let's go through some of the new arrivals on this squad. We talked about Myles Turner coming across. That's probably the biggest arrival there. There is Cole Anthony, who, again, I would love to see in a starting role. I honestly don't think that we're going to get that here. I would love to see it, but I'm not certain that that's something. I'm pretty confident, actually, that it's not going to be the case. Gary Harris comes across from Orlando as well. Harris is very much broken down. The shot isn't where it used to be. He can't really produce at an every night level, but he's just depth behind Trent, behind Green, behind Prince, behind Rollins, behind Anthony, behind whoever. They do re-sign Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Mark Sears comes in on a two-way deal. Not that Giannis or Sears or Harris are going to have really any value whatsoever. There are two guys I have as potential breakout players. We've talked at length about Porter, who I like in that 90 to 100 range. The other one there who can break out, and again, I would say it's unlikely that he does, but there's an interesting skill set here for Ryan Rollins, because he's a player that at the end of last season, he'd been in the Warriors, he moved across to the Wizards in the Chris Paul, Jordan Poole deals, whatever million deals they made at that point. And he started some games and was pretty solid. Now, his overall season numbers are pretty bad. 13 fantasy points outside the top 300, 6 points a game, 2 assists, 0.8 steals. But that's 15 minutes. Like, you're talking about a 1.5 steals guy. And look, there is no one better at stealing in the NBA than Ryan Rollins. Dyson Daniels is good at generating steals, for sure. But it's just stealing as a general concept. Ryan Rollins is right up there. He's also a pretty good pick and roll operator, and he was able to turn into a decent shooter. Now, the volume's not super, super high. He hit 1-3 in 15 minutes. It's not that good, but he hit him at 41%. Good free throws, overall efficiency. If he started and played 30 minutes a night, clear guy to draft. And if you've got uncertainty about the role, you can take him. Because if you find out that he's a reserve, you drop his ass and you grab the next guy. But absolutely someone to consider. Is a breakout, is he ever going to be a top 75 player? Like, I don't think so. But he could. We had some flashes. The problem there is that Doc has so many levers to pull. He can go to Porter, he can go to Cole, he can go to Giannis and throw other shooting wings around. There are many other directions that he can go that sort of limit the overall minutes upside of those breakout players. At the moment, there's no one currently injured on this team or no real injury concerns, so that's a W when we're looking at this squad and trying to have value on the picks. And in terms of the schedule, it's also pretty clean. No 2-game playoff weeks. That's the wrong graphic. I am sorry for that. This one is the correct one. It is the schedule with 14 back-to-backs, second fewest in the league, 13 is the fewest. It doesn't really mean that much. Like, it doesn't, again, like I've said, back-to-backs, the difference of 3 across the entire league over 25 weeks doesn't really mean anything. So in terms of this team, Giannis is a very clear top 5 guy. Very clear, all formats. Except Roto, where I bump him to end of the first round. You can win free throws with him. You shouldn't try to. But you can win threes, so don't be put off of that. And then we get to like Turner in that 40 to 50 zone. Then you get Porter around the 100 mark, which is risky. Then you get Portis, 110-ish, which is fine. Then you have Kuzma, who you might want to take a flyer on if you think he's going to start. Or you take Rollins in that area. I think that's probably the way to look at it in terms of where this team sits and where the value lies. Like Trent's going to be a streamer. Prince and Green will be streamers. Anthony will be someone that if he starts, you look at it a little bit more. And then there's just a lot of nothing happening at the back end of this roster. There is something happening over at Linktree/LOFB Bowl. New head-to-head category bowl is up. So join that link and get ready to play. If you are on the YouTube mobile app, give it a hype. Subscribe anywhere. Thumbs up. Leave your comments, guys. We are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.